Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name's Josh Angelucci. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. My family moved here about 2 months ago. This is my family. My wife's in the back there. And yeah, we have 2 kids, Young Ann, our daughter, and Caleb. And yeah, today I'm giving the sermon, and I can't really believe it. Maybe Jack can believe it because it was his idea. But anyways, yeah, thank you for for inviting me to talk here today, and reflecting. Yeah, considering coming here to talk was a bit difficult. I don't know if most people like giving sermons, but I don't really like giving sermons. I feel like it means that I have something more that I know that I have to share with you, but I don't think that. So, but I actually, I'll get into it more, but one of the points I have today is related to that. So we moved here about 2 months ago, and like I was saying, last week I volunteered to be on the ballot for a pastor position here in the Family Church. And then earlier this week, Jack Hopper asked me, to give the sermon, just saying that, I could share with the community and you guys can get to know me and all of that. So we're here today. And we're living in Briar Creek, if any of you live around there, and we moved here because of a new job. I got a job at IBM, and I'm working over there in RTP. So I wanted to share a little bit about, why I am doing this. I mean, it's not why I'm interested in being a pastor, and yeah, I guess really it just comes down to, I've really felt a lot of love through many communities around the world, our church communities, and I've really experienced a lot of true parents' love, God's love, and through actually our members and through our communities. And when I came here, a few people had mentioned to me that it'd be nice if there was a second generation pastor and that there was an election coming up, and they said, maybe you should consider, being a pastor. Well, they didn't say, I guess they didn't say maybe, but they were kind of asking me, why don't you consider that? Why don't you take a look at that? We think you might do a good job. So, at first I thought, no. But after a while I started thinking about it, and I felt that maybe this was something that I could do, something that, might be needed, and a way that I could support, the communities that I care about. Now this is my home, and, for example, in Columbus, I really care about all of my community there. I feel like it's my family, so that's pretty much it. That's why I'm doing it, and just because I felt like there's something that I can contribute, something that I can support, and I just want to kind of give back to what I've gotten from this movement, really. So the title of my talk today is God Has a Plan for You. I'm going to talk I'm probably not going to go that long today, and I'm going to share about a testimony that I had, experience that I had in Champion. How many people here have been to Champion? I just want to know, okay, almost everybody. Great. I wasn't sure if that's normal or not. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about. And, yeah. So yeah, God has a plan for you, and you know I've felt this the kind of one contrast that I want to make is that He has a plan for you, and it's, at least for me, I've felt this the most when I feel like my plans aren't going according to plan. Like things are not really going how I expected. I'm kind of a bit lost and a bit confused or stressed. That's when I felt like God's saying, don't worry, you know, I'm taking care of you. I'm there for you. I've been looking out for you your whole life. And you know that's the main topic that I want to talk about. And yeah, so you know, don't worry. I guess I really felt like God's been telling me, don't worry if things aren't going according to your plan, because God's plan might be a bit different. And more, you know, worry about if we're thinking about God or thinking about what He wants for us. And then the second point is that God wants to work through you, and God wants to work through me and through all of us, even if, you know, we don't think we can do it or we don't think we're ready. And that's what I was mentioning in the beginning about giving the sermon, is that, yeah, even though I wasn't excited about it at first, but I felt that God does, in the past, that God does want me to do things even when I might not want to do it. What do you guys think?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, Josh. Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Yeah, so, yeah, definitely. Anyway, this is actually a lot about, the big thing that helped me to actually decide to get matched was the feeling that, you know, I kind of came, how do I say it? Like, I realized that I'm not ready, but, you know, I felt God was supporting me, and that if I gave my 100%, God will take care of that 95%, and, you know, true parents will take care, find the right person, or anyways, you know, and things will work out. But I'm not going to talk about that today. I mean, not my blessing testimony, but anyways, this is, you know, this is the second point. So it's about, you know, really it's about God has a plan for you, and then He wants you to do the plan. He wants you to do it. And it's not just about wanting, like, I think He really believes in us, and He's really there completely, you know, supporting us. So so to share about my time and my experience in Champyan. In July this year, I went to Champyan. It was for a spiritual world and physical world matching workshop. Have you guys heard about that? So, sorry. Yeah, so the way that it all gets started was my parents asked me, you know, could you go to Champyan to match your grandmother to her late husband who had passed away. So I'll give you background about that. And first of all, maybe some of you know my parents. Their names are Umberto and Marilyn Angelucci, and they are national messiahs for Afghanistan and regional leaders for the Middle East. And do people know my parents? Anybody?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So they asked me, you know, could you go to Korea? And so my grandmother, she's my father's mother and still alive. She's Italian, and her husband passed away about in 2006. And she joined the movement just about 5 years ago, and you know has been wanting to. They explained to me that she's been wanting to. She heard that it's possible for her to get blessed to her husband in the spirit world, and she's been wanting to do that for a while. And you know, so they asked me, you know, if I would be willing to go to Korea to represent her for her matching. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, it's a big help. So I had just finished a trip. My wife and I had just finished a trip to Japan in April that year. So my parents asked me to go right after our trip. And, we had been preparing for a trip to Japan for about a year and a half, not really going anywhere, saving money, just planning. And, so at first I was kind of surprised for my parents to ask me, to go again to somewhere so far. And yeah, but I have a habit of not saying no initially to things, and I just wait a little bit and think about it. So anyways, I just thought about it, and as time went on, two of my aunts are also in the movement, and both of them were, working together with my parents to start they were saying, we could help with the plane ticket, whatever we can do to support, we'd like to do that. And yeah, I started to see how much it really meant to my family, to my Italian family, to do this for their grandmother, my grandmother, to get blessed. Yeah, so I saw that, and also I just wanted to give back to my grandmother, who took care of us growing up. And I kind of wish I had a picture of her, but anyways, don't have it right now. So I thought about those things, and then also actually, my wife, we wanted to do ancestor liberation for my wife. We've been thinking about that for a while, so I thought, okay, I can go to Korea, and we can do some ancestor liberation for my wife. We can help, for my grandmother, and those are probably enough reasons to go. Actually, I had another plan. Also, we could do the matching for my wife's grandmother, who also was in a similar situation to my grandmother. So I thought, okay, with those three reasons, there's enough reason to go to Korea, and also to take care of, support my family. So I decided to go, and yeah, things didn't really go according to plan, right? I guess you probably can guess. Have you felt something like that before? So yeah, a few things happened, but really the main thing was I have been communicating with the Chungkyung office to make sure that I could do the things that I wanted to do for a bit through email, and then when I got there, immediately I went to the office and tried to make sure that I had everything arranged properly and things could work out. And unfortunately, it was late at night, they couldn't get things done at that time. So in the morning I went again, and first thing I found out was that I had to pay with cash, which is kind of, probably obvious. Somehow I thought maybe I could use my credit card or something, but that was the first problem. I didn't have any cash. So, I found out how much I would need, and then I found out that I couldn't represent two people for the matching workshop. I could only represent one, either my wife's grandmother or my grandmother. So, the first kind of reason that I went was kind of gone, and I was pretty upset about that, and I thought I had already asked if that was possible, and things like that. So anyways, after that I spent about, I was so focused on my goals for being there for liberation and my grandmother, I spent, about 4 hours, around 4 hours on the phone, going to ATMs, trying to get the money, the cash for the liberation for my wife's ancestors. I called my bank in America a few times. I tried to figure out the ATM system so that I could abuse like the time difference, anyways, and get out more money. And yeah, I worked for, like I said, about 4 hours, and I couldn't get all the money that was needed in time, and I was trying to get it before the registration finished, before registration ended for the workshop. And yeah, I couldn't. So I was in the bank in the Chungkyung hospital, talking to, trying to talk to the tellers, even though my Korean's not good enough for that. And I saw the staff lady actually that told me how much money I needed and everything, and I'd kind of given up, so I went to her and I was like, I don't really know what to do. Like, I can't get this money. Is there any other way, like any other way that I can pay or anything else that I can do? And, she says, well, actually, you don't have to pay for the ads to liberation before the workshop. And I was just really like, what are you talking about? Like, I've just been running around for like 4 hours because you told me that, I thought you told me that I needed this money, and now you're saying like, I don't need it. So, I mean, I didn't say any of that to her, but, anyways, so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go down and register. So I went down, I spoke to her more, I found out that what was the situation, and why things were like that, and why I didn't have to pay at that moment. And, but again, another reason for me going there was kind of down the drain again. And, I was starting to feel pretty, I really like to plan things, I'm an engineer, I like to have like structure, and I like to, plan things a lot, way ahead and stuff like that. So I was pretty, and anyways, I was pretty down. I was kind of upset as well. Like, I thought I was doing a good job, like coming here for many good reasons, and those reasons were kind of gone. Some of them were gone, and yeah. So you're just thinking like, why is this happening? Kind of like that. Some other stuff had also happened where I was just the typical traveling, craziness. Maybe, I don't know if that's typical, but couldn't like get the right bus and things like that. So kind of wondering, why is this happening? And anyways, I asked the staff lady, I was like, is there anything else that I can do while I'm here? Because I'm probably not going to come back here for, who knows, like how many years I won't be back here, and just want to make the most out of it. Is there some, liberation or some money I should pay, or what can I do, So the lady then, this person, her name is Sachika. Maybe some of you know her. She's been in Chungkyung for many years, but she looked at me and she said, well, most people when they come to Chungkyung, they actually come to work on themselves and take care of their life of faith and improve that. And she said, I think you should do that. And I was just like so shocked by that answer, because that was not at all what I was asking, and really not where my mind was. And because it was such something that was like unexpected for me, I actually really felt God was talking through her somehow. Yeah, I was kind of like, I don't know, it's like I don't know, it's like, it's not really like this, but kind of like when you go on a roller coaster and you're so like in shock that you can't even yell or scream. If you've ever had that experience. It's not like that, but that's just something that came to mind. Yeah, I was just like, wow, that was really It's like when I ask my dad for advice and he tells me you should be thinking about the other person's point of view rather than your point of view or something like that. Just really felt like God was kind of talking to me in a different kind of level of looking at things. And yeah, I really, then I asked her, well, what about, things that I could have done differently? Maybe who should I have emailed, or should I have done, should I have maybe, called, or what's the best way to get in touch with you? And she's like, well, typically when people come here, you should do condition, to prepare to come here. And again, like, that was so different from what I was expecting. And it just kind of really, I think, made me reflect on, my faith and, what am I doing to prepare to come here. It's more on the spiritual side. And just felt like God was saying, don't really worry. You've been worrying too much about what you are, what you're kind of planning and just kind of worrying in general. And I worry a lot. And don't worry so much. I'm here and I'm taking care of you and I have a plan for you. That's really what I felt. And after that, I did try to take her advice, and I reflected on, my life and what am I doing. I realized that I worry too much. I think a lot about just kind of practical things, how to make things work well. And I'm not really thinking about the people around me many times. I'm not really definitely not thinking so much about God. And I realized that, my life will be probably much more enjoyable and happier if I were to not worry about the little things as much and making everything work well, but just kind of thinking about the people around me and thinking about what does maybe God want me to do right now, and what's He thinking about? What's there that I can give to the people around me? And that's I think that's basically the story of Champion. So, God, I really feel that for me, I realized that God has a plan for me, and He wants me to do it. The next other big point was that, that was really a deep experience for me too, because I was trying to decide about moving here. I've been in Columbus for 7 years, and that was really my home. And while I was in Champion, I was trying to decide, should I take this job here and move my family? And so, that was such a comforting experience to feel that God was telling me that I'm taking care of you and I'm taking care of your family too, So actually that really gave me the courage to move here, and also kind of made me a bit scared because I felt like God was telling, like I said, He has a plan for me, so I was kind of like, oh man, what's He gonna, what's His plan? I don't know what I'm gonna be doing.
What's He gonna do to me?
Yeah, what's He gonna do to me? Actually that started making me realize that, I'm not really willing to follow God's plan, honestly. I'm not willing to sacrifice things. So, God has a plan for you, and God wants to work through you, even if you don't think that you can do it. And so finally, I just want to invite all of you to search for what does God want you to do, and follow that and try it, and realize that He's there. He cares about you so much and wants you to succeed and believes in you.
So, Reiko Watanabe, the daughter of Shinichi and Kazuo Watanabe, passed away from colon cancer. So, I got this phone call just a few days before the Sangwa ceremony they hadn't arranged everything, and Junko, she's one of the sisters there at the beach area, she took responsibility to try to help this family deal with this situation, because in some ways they weren't very prepared. And she said, oh, she's from New Jersey, and I thought, well, okay, maybe they're going to have a pastor from New Jersey come, and do the Sangwa address or message. But, she asked me if I would do it, and of course, you don't say no. So there are some things that you just can't say no to, when you're asked. So, so we drove there, and then even when we were driving there at 3:30 in the afternoon, we get a phone call that says, oh, at 5 o'clock this evening, please come to the Watanabe house, because there's going to be a viewing there, and we're going to say our final goodbye to Reiko. And I'm thinking, okay. And so we're driving already halfway there, and we drive there, and we find the Watanabe house, and it's not a very big house, and in the living room was the coffin with Reiko, and the coffin was open, and so she's laying there. She's a very beautiful young lady, but her body, I can't say she was laying there, her body was laying there. And we went in and, talked and shared, and just people were there, and people were coming from New Jersey, and people were going to be coming from Atlanta, because she was a student at the university in Atlanta, and she went to the Atlanta church. I found out she was really just a wonderful young lady. She had a real talent in art, and I didn't really know the family so well, so I'm thinking, what am I going to say about this? But she was there, and it's very interesting to be in a room where someone's body is. So, how many people have had the experience of seeing an open coffin and the body? You have to, I'm in this room, and, you walk in the door, and there she is, it's like, well, you're talking to the family, you're talking to your friends, you're meeting people that you hadn't seen in many years. Oh man, it's great to see you, but there's this body right next to you there. And you look at her, and you're thinking, oh, and you're saying your final goodbyes, and you're talking, and you can't help. I don't know if anybody else was the same, but you can't help but think, is she going to move? Are her eyes going to open? Is she sleeping? It's awkward and interesting. You have to remember that was not her. That was her physical body, but she wasn't really in that body anymore. Anyway, to make a long story short, the next day we had a very beautiful Sangwa ceremony, and there were many, many guests that came, teachers from her middle school that were there in Beaufort and where she grew up, and students that were, in Atlanta came, and one of her pastors from New Jersey, Annie Calavan, I don't know if anybody knows her, she came, and she was going to deliver the message at the burial service. There was the Sangwa, and then there was also a separate burial service. It was kind of involved. And I had the opportunity to speak, and basically, without going into a lot of detail, what I really felt God told me, so strongly, is to honor and respect his family, because they were Japanese, and Shinichi, as a young man, he joined the Unification Church in Japan, and Kazuo, as a young lady, she joined the Unification Church in Japan. She became Christians, and began living a life for the sake of others, living for the sake of others. And then they came to America, and they weren't blessed in Japan. They came to America, and they lived in America. And then Father matched them to each other in America in 1987. And then they began their family. And then they had children. But they didn't have their children in Japan. They had their children in America. And I just felt so strongly, what an incredible testimony, of parents, of two young people giving their lives, their entire life, and then having a daughter, and their daughter being born in Yonkers, New York, and then, when she was 11, she moved to North Carolina, and then growing up here, and, living her life, and consummating and finishing her life, 22 years, finishing her life at the beach, again, in America, in our country. And so I was really grateful to this family. I thought, this is the example of, this is the couple, this is the family, this is what true parents, wanted to create, a couple that would live their lives thinking about others more than themselves. And, I just felt very moved. And I was very inspired to really share with this family. And it was a beautiful experience. And many people shared. And it was such a pure environment. And it was great. There were a couple of the Hutcherson young ladies were there. And people, came. And there were people who were not members of our movement that were there. And it just reminded me again, that how precious our movement is, the things that we understand about the purpose of life and about family values and about death, and that death isn't the end. To be in that situation, this young 22-year-old young lady, you can't help but feel for her father and her mother. We who are parents know, that can be one of the most difficult situations. But we tried very hard to really encourage them and comfort them. And it was beautiful. It was very beautiful. And once again, God showed me. I was so grateful to be able to go there and to share. And I would like to ask if anyone else that was there would like to say something, In any case, it was a beautiful experience. I mean, we're talking about a funeral, we're talking about death, and yet it becomes a beautiful, deep, artistic experience with hope and joy and comforting each other. And it brought us together, closer and closer together again as one family under God. So I was grateful for that. That's thank you.
Hi, glad to be back. I don't really know why I'm up here, but
Where have you been?
How's California?
Briefly.
I live in California now. I work at a school that I really like. It's a private school. I teach engineering to elementary schoolers. And it's really like a dream job, and so I really want to stick with the school. My dream has always been to open up my own school and like my own school brand. But now that I'm at this school, I want to open up one of their schools because I just really like their schools.
What's the school name?
It's called Basis.
Basis?
Yep. And
In which city?
it's in Fremont. Are you looking for a school for your children?
Yeah.
The commute might be a little bit difficult to show up.
Right.
Awesome deal.
Yep. But I love it over there. And then I thought it was a good idea for me to come back during the holidays. And as a teacher, I get the holidays off. So I'm back for Thanksgiving. And I'll be back for Christmas.
Welcome back. We love you.
Let everybody know. I know we're thinking, to elect another pastor, and I would like to consider. I'm thinking I really would like for Josh. I think it really is a good time for a second gen to take over and be the pastor. And I think that, he's sincere and serious about that. And more than just having, everybody has different talents, and some people can talk better in groups than others, or public speaking, but those things aren't the most important thing. The most important thing is we are a united community in heart and spirit. And one thing I'd like to propose, I don't know if, I'd like to keep a title. If Josh becomes the pastor, I want him to be the pastor. He would be the pastor. There has been talk about, what about having two pastors, to co-pastor together, or what about having a situation where you mentor, he's the pastor, but you're his mentor for a year or something, because maybe he doesn't have the experience. But I don't think that way. I think that you get the experience because you sincerely want to serve. If you really want to serve other people, and you take this position, then God, God is your co-pilot, not someone else. So you have to be, the person who's the pastor is going to be the pastor. But I thought I would like to consider, if the community would consider allowing me to have a title, senior pastor. And the reason I would have a title senior pastor is not because I'm the senior over Josh. He would be the pastor, but we don't know what the future holds. We don't know what's going to happen in our movement. Suddenly, something might happen, and a lot of attention comes to the Unification Church. And if that's the case, if you give me the title of being the senior pastor, and something big was to happen, like you needed someone to talk to the media, or you wanted someone that's lived in North Carolina all his life and joined the church here and so forth, then, yes, exactly. Then I could step in, and you can say, oh, this is our senior pastor. You can also talk with him about these issues. Then I would be there to support and to help. And I'm not saying, and this would have nothing to do, I wouldn't receive any stipend, no money, and believe me, I would not, this doesn't mean I would in any way interfere with the pastor's position, but as a way of creating a situation where if something happens in the future, then I would be available. And of course, because, Mamoru was the pastor here before, Tim was the state leader, the pastor before, I'm the pastor, so Josh should always feel that he could go to any of us, anytime, and share with us and ask us and talk with us. But that would be his initiative, not, something that he has to do. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Some, people of the council are here. I would like for us to have a pastor, but if you would allow me to have the title senior pastor.
It's nothing to do with your age.
No, we can do that. We can say senior pastor because of my age, because I am senior, 62. And that would be a good way of defining it.
Geriatrics pastor.
Well, let's not go that far. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. But personally, I think I really support the idea of Josh. If his heart is in the right place, I want to encourage us maybe to support him and help him. Now, if someone else is out there that wants to be the pastor also, then, hey, speak now or forever hold your peace, but it's open. But that's my point. My point is, if you allow me to have the title senior pastor, I don't need any money, nothing like that. But if something comes up and you need a spokesperson, then you could legitimately, according to the charter, according to our church, you could say, oh, this person is a senior pastor. You could actually talk with him about some of these things. That's the only reason I'm saying that.
Thank you, God.